Alice MacKinnon is a no-nonsense emotion coach, five-time author, and surf-loving fitness, yoga, and qigong instructor. She blends her PhD in adult learning with 24 years of driving environmental and social change. Today, she guides clients through embodied real-world practices that bring well-being, emotional freedom, and mindfulness to life in the workplace, communities, and home. And what I love the most about Dr. Alice MacKinnon is she's my wife.
Hello, Mum.
I love it. I love it. So you had to be on my podcast.
Well, I feel very honored that you
Mm.
asked me to be on your podcast.
Well, you're very much an embodied wise woman. I live with you and I see you do it all day, every day. And so I really wanted to go to a few places with you if that's cool today.
That'll be really fun. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to go to the elephant in the room first. You are my wife. You came out in your late 50s, which it's really incredible that so many women come out as being, in gay relationships in their late 50s more than younger, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
What was the moment that you knew you had to step fully into your truth? And how does that kind of influence how you live and work today, apart from the fact that you live with me?
um, yeah, wow.
Unpack that a bit.
2019, September 2019, the mountain community that I lived in, we went through a devastating bushfire. 11 homes were lost, as well as Binnaburra Lodge. We all got thrown into a great big mixer. It was massive. And then we went into COVID in about April of the following year, 2020. And about after the first lockdown of COVID, of the pandemic, I met a trans man and we hit it off straight away. And prior to that, always heterosexual, never figured out relationships very well, but, just kind of trundled through life. And so I met a trans man and we hit it off very quickly and very intensely. And it was very, very early on, maybe the second time we met, that I went, I am not ever, no matter what happens with this relationship, I'm never going back. I'm never going back to straight life again, because now I understand how this works, how this whole relationship gig works.
Right.
Whereas I never had before.
Yeah, so you'd been married and you've got a gorgeous son, Ewan, and
Gorgeous son, yeah.
babies.
Yes, grandchildren. Yeah, I get kind of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Very lucky.
Good. Well, I love that I scored that you're my wife.
I love that I met you. But when we met, Jen, I had, the relationship with the trans man was too much for either of us to hold. It was way too intense. So that came apart. And so I started dating a little bit, or checking out a couple of online dating apps.
Yep.
In the queer world, in the LGBTQI plus community, like a real newbie. And I'd tested that out. And during that time, I'd done 3 relationship readiness sessions with a wonderful, wonderful relationships counselor, Vivian Baruch, who's based in the Blue Mountains. And I'd come out of those 3 sessions confident that I had the skills and the practices now to engage wholeheartedly and with great health in a relationship. And I came out of that absolutely determined that I was not going to spend the rest of my life alone, which prior to that, I'd been really wishy-washy about it. I'd never imagined myself in a fully committed long-term relationship. And then we met.
We did. And you asked me out.
And and not long after we met, I fell in love. I wrote that article for Mind Food magazine
Mm.
that my dream man is a woman, and I came out very publicly,
Very quickly.
very quickly through Mind Food magazine as well. But I came out to my family when I was with the trans man,
Mm.
and I remember everyone was so supportive, so very supportive. We're a family who has either been very closely allied to the queer community, or we have members of our family who are part of the queer community. So,
Mm.
yeah.
I love it. Love it and love you. All right, I want to jump in. First
Yeah.
off, what does it mean to you to be a present day wise woman?
Yeah. It's a work in progress. I feel like I'm doing an apprenticeship,
Hmm.
becoming a present day wise woman.
Hmm.
I don't, in some ways, I don't feel I am yet a present day wise woman, but I was thinking about it the other day. I have, for a long time, I've been very interested in the North American grandmothers,
Mm.
the American Indian grandmothers. And I remember a good 15 years ago thinking, I want to apprentice as a grandmother.
Yeah.
And I was so fascinated with the way that they did the Standing Rock protests quite a few years ago about
Hmm.
the oil drilling and fracking in. Ugh, anyway, I won't go there. So I wanted to
Mm.
apprentice as one of their grandmothers.
Yeah.
I remember also maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a bit longer actually, a young woman with a young child. We were doing an event together, and she introduced me to her child as Auntie.
Mm.
And so I say that because I'm still becoming a present day wise woman.
Yep.
And to me, that is one of the grandmothers
Yeah.
who is able to combine activism and engagement with change, social change, with deep spiritual practice and wholehearted living.
Mm.
Um, and in the meantime, I do feel like I can stand up and be an auntie.
Mm. Yeah. That's
Mm.
something I love about you is that you are so much about personal well-being, community well-being, and global well-being. And you very much see it's all connected.
I
So
do.
we're in some interesting times at the moment. Tell me about that.
Yes, we're in very, very interesting times. I was 25 years in the environment movement as a professional environmentalist and community organizer, a communicator, a storyteller, an educator. I never felt like I could hold that well enough to compel people to get involved in protecting the earth.
Mm.
I always felt I fell short in that. And when I finished up in that movement around about 50, when I was about 50, because I felt like I was about to become angry and bitter
Mm.
about the lack of progress, and I didn't want to become angry and bitter. So when I finished up in that kind of full-time engagement in that movement, I lived with a question, and I still do. How do I still engage? How do I still get involved? I follow very closely the climate crisis work that's going on,
Yep.
particularly through the work of Christiana Figueres, who was the UN Secretariat who helped spearhead the Paris Agreement
Yep.
2015. So I follow her work very closely. I keep a weather eye on the other things that are going on. My surfing and my beach running takes me to a place every morning, nearly every morning, where I feel like maybe sometimes the best I can do is just experience joy and
Mm.
uplift and connection with Mother Nature and thank the earth, the sky, the sea, the land, the wind, the tides.
Mm.
It's that's very much a work in progress too, Jen. I haven't found my niche, but I feel increasingly in these times where climate collapse is upon us, where biodiversity collapse is happening, where social and political institutions are collapsing and systems are collapsing.
Yeah.
I want to be my most wholehearted. I want to be my most grounded.
Mm.
I want to be my wisest self, self-regulated, calm, clear thinking, to engage more broadly so that my engagement isn't triggering people, so that it's caring and kind and wise and deep and sacred, and connected with the sacredness and spirituality of the earth, of Gaia, Pachamama.
Mm.
Mm.
So I was going to ask you, kind of, what do you see as your priority purpose at the moment? It is the environmental. It is the energy we hold for the planet. What would you
My
say it is?
priority at the moment, my work in the world, uh,
Mm.
is as an emotion coach, and and a hands-on practitioner, in qigong, fitness, yoga, helping people with their own personal well-being.
Yeah.
That's very much my work in the world, and I need to adult and earn a living and pay my bills and pay
Yeah.
my way, and yeah, run a successful business. So that's very much a priority for me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm doing a lot of reflection on how that work in the world feeds into the broader world.
Mm.
And maybe it's a person by person proposition. If I can help other people find their own wholeheartedness, find their own wisdom and clarity, and then that feels meaningful.
Yeah.
Only the other day I was also thinking, this because when we go walking, or when I'm walking on the beach or running on the beach, I'm always picking up rubbish. I'm always picking
Yeah.
up litter. And I even thought
Yes.
the other day that sometimes that is enough. Yep.
Mm.
Because yes, I'm removing litter from going down the drains and into Tallabudgera Creek, or, being picked up by the high tide and taking out into the ocean to
Yeah.
the turtles and the fish and things. But also I notice, because I don't make a big brouhaha about it, I just pick it up.
Yep.
But I know that people see me.
I see you. It's for real. When we first got together, I didn't do things, and you still see things and pick up things faster than I do, but you've totally inspired me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
Every one little
trivial.
person counts.
Yeah, that's right. It seems so trivial, but in the local place that you and I inhabit,
Mm.
I can stop that rubbish from washing down the drains and into Tallabudgera Creek. That's okay. That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every turtle
And
we
I'm
save is a turtle we save.
That's right.
Mm.
And I'm still exploring where and how I evolve.
Mm. Okay.
Mm.
So talking about evolving, it makes me think you are a wordsmith.
Mm.
You're a poet, a writer, you've written 5 books. The vocabulary for today's times,
Yeah.
it's really such a different time, and we've both been challenged at different times. We've talked about it, and it's like, what's the difference? Where do we need to go with
Yeah.
even the words we use nowadays? It's different.
It's
So
different.
many new words have come in, and so many words have been energetically changed because of overuse
Yeah.
badly.
Yeah, I was only thinking the other day, because I am going through quite a reflective and intensive process at the moment, as you know, of
Yeah.
trying to find my words for poetry again,
Mm.
and finding new ways to speak. And I was just thinking the other day, so many of the good words, with all the depth that word good holds,
Yep.
been stolen from us,
Yeah.
have been stolen and co-opted and enslaved
Yeah.
by the corporations, by the politicians, and in some ways I want to liberate those words,
Yeah.
And I also want to find new ways. I'm also looking for a new vocabulary.
Mm.
And so I'm going around at the moment collecting words.
Mm.
I've got a little notebook in the car, and I've got a notebook by my bed, and I've got a notebook upstairs. And when words come to me, um, I'm catching them almost with a butterfly net.
Right.
And just I'm not enslaving them, but I'm just wanting to catch them in my books so that then I can start to work fresh with language.
Mm.
And because I feel like, yeah, the good words have been stolen and enslaved, so
Yep.
many of them, and we need a new language anyway
Yeah.
these times. And I didn't tell you, but at lunchtime today, up on the veranda, a butcher bird. I've never had it happen in our home
Huh?
before. I was sitting on the veranda, and a butcher bird suddenly appeared on the railing, and then it hopped on a chair. Now I'm sure it was interested in what I was eating for lunch, um, but at the same time, them. It, I know it was a messenger bird.
Mm.
And we had a little chat when it got really close. We had a little chat, and I just said, "What's the message you're bringing me today?
Yeah.
What is it you're here to tell me? And what do you need to know from me?" And,
You want to share it?
leaning into the possibility of bird language or messenger bird language, which often comes through in the language of dreams and metaphor.
Mm.
Mm.
Nice. So, looking at signs and things around the place, do you have a totem?
Oh, wow. I think I am
Thinking
very
about that
interested.
with the bird. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested in totems, and I did have a chat to Lister Rose, actually, the wonderful Aboriginal writer, about 18 months ago,
Mm.
about is it appropriate for non-Indigenous people to talk in the language of totems and to ask whether it's possible to have a totem.
Yeah.
And she then got very, very busy. And so we haven't continued that conversation yet. But I do feel like there are animals who I resonate with deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Turtles, and they're usually shy. Turtles,
Yep.
wallabies.
Yeah.
Um, they're probably the two main ones for me because they're shy. And if there's a lot of noise going on and if there's a lot of activity,
Yeah.
they know how to make themselves invisible.
Mm.
I feel a bit like that.
I was
So
just going to say, is that a coping skill you've needed over time or taken on over time?
absolutely, absolutely. And there are times when I feel like I have the nervous system of an Australian marsupial. They're very, they can be very fragile. Especially
Oh,
if they cop a knock or a hit or a fright. Yeah, so I'm still exploring that whole idea. And the other thing is, I have picked up that book, as you know, Sharon Blackie's book, When Women Rise Rooted, which is,
mm.
and I'm very now keenly re-exploring my connections, my Scottish and Celtic connections. And so if there was a totem actually from that heritage of mine,
Mm.
which is my Indigenous heritage,
Yeah.
my mob, it would be the Selkies, the seal women.
Mm.
That I think is actually, as I say it, I feel that reverberate in my body. That's my totem.
Nice. I
Mm,
love it.
mm.
So, with or without totems around us, like everyone, I know we were talking the other day about how you really feel, the women of Iona, the Isle of Iona, your ancestors help hold you in the work that you do.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh, Absolutely. I'm just going to grab the stone.
Yeah, go for it.
This
For
is
those of you watching this actually on YouTube, you can see the stone that Alice is holding up live right now.
which
And
are
if not, you can go to my YouTube channel and check it out.
go there.
Go there now. Look at the stone.
This beautiful, smooth, round stone was given to me by a very dear friend for my 60th birthday, and it is a stone from the Scottish island of Iona.
Mm.
She gave it to me very intentionally. And the other day when I was doing EFT for myself on my work in the world with emotion coaching, because sometimes I I feel tired.
Mm.
Sometimes it's really big work. I walk with people, I hold their hands, I hold a safe space for them as they walk when they're ready
Yep.
to the edge of their emotions, to the wild places in their nervous system or in their hearts or their minds that they haven't gone to alone. And
Mm.
sometimes they're really ready to go there. So I'm with them. I hold their hand and I keep them safe as they do that.
Mm.
And as I was tapping on this kind of insight about what I do,
Yep.
I went, who holds my hand?
Mm.
Who has my back while I do this work?
Yeah.
And it was, I just kind of, there were floods of tears and at this revelation. And as I kind of came out of that tapping process, came this insight. It is my ancestors.
Mm.
It is those healers and those wise women and those witches and those selkies
Mm.
of Scotland and the Celtic women.
Yeah.
They are holding my hand. They have my back. They are surrounding me and keeping me safe. And so as I came out of that with that revelation, I went, what's a talisman? What's a little token that I can find that will remind me that they're with me? And then I remembered, my beautiful stone from Iona that my friend Sono had given me was literally right in front of me at our puja next
Yeah.
to Buddha. And I went, oh,
That's
there
it.
it is. There it is. And then today, as I came off the beach after a surf, I found a little shell so from a local beach
Mm.
here in our neighborhood where I do my surfing, where I am in the water, I found a little shell to sit next to the stone from Iona.
Nice. So
Mm.
you've got these women, and I know they've probably always been with you, but you really mindfully know that you have them with you now, and they help hold you as you do such big work to help other people.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you ever felt like truly hopeless?
Ah,
And if so, whether you did or didn't have the supports around you at the time, how did you rise up out of that?
yeah,
Because you help other women rise out of their stuff. How have you
I do. I have
moving through
felt
things?
hopeless. I think I felt hopeless. The time I felt truly deeply hopeless
Hmm.
was in the aftermath of the bushfire in September 2019,
Yeah.
because it was this intersection of climate collapse. Queensland had never had a bushfire like it.
Yeah.
It was the fiercest, most destructive, outrageously horrendous bushfire we've ever had in this state, racing through rainforest,
Mm.
and devouring a rainforest community of humans as well as non-humans. And I think in the aftermath of that, it felt like all the work I had ever done around environmental protection,
Mm.
environmental education, communication, trying to rally people to realize what the hell is going on, what we
Mm.
are doing to our earth, that took me down,
Mm.
as well as the direct impact on my family property,
Yeah.
my local community. I think I felt hopeless. I did. I felt hopeless after that. And I rose up out of it in a number of ways. I got therapeutic help. I went
Hmm.
and saw a psychologist
Yep.
for help. After a few weeks, I had an opportunity to gather up with my closest friends. We'd booked a beach house many months before, at Angari, and I gathered up with them and I returned to the water. So for a number of weeks, I hadn't been able to go anywhere near the water. I felt completely, my nervous system was completely shot. And so the water felt too cold, the wind was too harsh, that I felt like I was outside of my life. So I gathered up with my friends and we had a few days together and I returned to the water in their fine company.
Mm.
And then I was invited to do a speech at one of the climate strikes, a Gold Coast climate strike. And somehow I managed, I didn't do it. Mother Earth channeled her voice through me in that speech, and I was able to rise up and say what I needed to say on behalf of my human community at Beachmont, as well as the Binnaburra Beachmont landscape. It was like I was possessed.
Mm. So if there's a woman listening to this
Yeah.
who is in a hopeless moment right
Yes.
now, what would you say to them as a starting point? Because
Yes.
that's part of the thing is we get overwhelmed, which means we freeze
Yeah.
and can't do anything. What would be a starting point for them to do something they can take from, how you
Yeah.
to move forward?
When we're in a place like that, oftentimes the practices that hold us quite well in day-to-day life, they don't work so well.
Mm.
They can't quite cut through.
Yeah.
And so truly I found my way out of that with therapeutic help.
Mm.
Experienced, qualified, um, therapeutic help. I really needed it. Two different psychologists at different times.
Yep.
And also I needed to get sleep. So
Yeah.
I wasn't sleeping. And so I saw a naturopath and they recommended I take a natural sleeping herb, which
Yeah.
I did. And that really helped as well. Mm.
Nice. Okay. And it's sad that there's so many women are in that helpless, feeling quite helpless at the moment stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I found in that hopeless stage, yeah, my usual kind of foundational practices, even getting out into nature, it just couldn't quite cut through. So I did need experienced therapeutic help, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I sought it.
Did you ever use anything to numb the feeling? Like I know in my younger years when I felt like that, it was alcohol. A lot of women will use sugar or, just crap food in general. Did you go there? You are, by the way, for everyone listening, Alice is the cleanest whole foods eater I've ever met. Consistently the cleanest whole foods meat eater I've ever met. But when you were in that state of helplessness, did you default to
I, I'm
numb the
very
feeling?
aware when I'm in a state of overwhelm, and
Yeah.
it happened also during my divorce a long, long time ago. I'm very aware I don't go near alcohol.
Yeah.
Definitely not drugs, but I don't go near alcohol because I know that's probably going to become quite problematic for me.
Hmm.
I know during that time of hopelessness, I just wanted to eat everything sugary that I could lay my hands on. But I recognized it wasn't an insatiable hunger.
Right.
Nothing was going to satiate that. Nothing
Yep.
was going to fill that emptiness. So I'm pretty sure I managed to stay away from that.
Yep.
I also, if I had a lot of money at that time, I would have just bought and bought and bought. I
Oh, shopping's a huge distraction. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew my system was looking, it was
Mm.
just desperate to fill the emptiness.
Yeah.
And that's where the therapeutic help really helped as well, because that stuff's got to come from the inside.
Yeah.
There is no amount of eating chocolate or buying cakes and eating cakes or drinking alcohol, or there is no amount of that is going to fill that gap.
No. Agreed.
Nothing. Well, you could fly to Paris and buy out the of the shops. It's still not going to work.
Yeah.
So I think, well, what I needed was someone to hold my hand,
Yeah.
and help me to go inside and start to peel back the layers that turned out to be layers of childhood trauma that was still that had been reactivated by the fire.
Right. Mm. A fun diversion. You ready?
Yeah.
What is your proudest fuck it, I'm doing it anyway moment?
Oh, buying my first surfboard.
Ooh!
Yes.
So tell us, give us the surfing story. I know your surfing story. It's so inspiring. Come on. Give us your
Learned
surfing
to surf
story.
at 36. Holidays, camping holiday with my son Hewan, who was 12 at the time, at Lennox Head, northern New South Wales, in Australia, and bought us both 3 surf lessons. Finally got my chance. Never really left the water after that. Nicked his board shorts and his rashy and kept on surfing. um, and then had the great good fortune to become a surf instructor, some years down the track. But I had the surf instructor let me in one of the big old foamies to use for the rest of our camping holiday. That was fantastic. Then when we got home, my brother had an old 7'2" fiberglass surfboard. Nigel, we called it.
Nigel.
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 Nigel. I surfed for ages on Nigel, and then he got a bit waterlogged. And it turned out that my brother-in-law knew of someone who was selling an epoxy surfboard, and it was the very good price of $500.
Mm-hmm.
There I was, a single mum with a 12 or 13-year-old child, and I just went, $500. I can't spend that amount of money on myself for a
Ooh.
surfboard. I
Yeah.
can't do that. And then I went, fuck it, I'm doing it. And I bought the surfboard, and it came with a board bag, and it came with a leg rope, and was just like, yes, I bought that for myself to play on.
How did that feel?
Like that.
Yeah.
Ah!
Hello, you took up surfing at 48,
46.
46, and now you're 62.
Yeah, I'm in my 17th year of surfing.
I can't wait to surf as good as you in my 17th year of surfing.
In that first year of surfing, Jen, I remember I had to really fight off feelings of anger at myself and at the culture that had overwhelmed me as a teenager, that, the blokey
Yeah.
shortboard, that they were so excluding of women. And I
Mm.
let that overcome me in those years, teens and early 20s. And I was so angry at myself that first year that I started surfing, because I just thought, how am I ever going to have the time? There's not enough years for me to find the time to learn how to move with the ocean's energies.
Mm.
How am I going to get past this clunky learner stage
Yep.
to become one of those people that flows with the ocean? And so I really had to work hard to just hold that anger at bay and say, there is enough time. There will be enough time. One day you will have been surfing for 20 years. Imagine that. And now I nearly have been.
And you're a gun surfer. I know you don't own that you're a gun surfer, but you're a gun surfer to a newbie like me. Huh. Hey, Alice, what is a truth that you live by that people sometimes don't want to hear?
Uh, we are one with the earth.
Mm.
We are of the earth. We are not the boss of the earth. And we must be humble and honor the earth.
Mm.
Yeah.
You devoted such a huge amount of time to your environmental work until you hit the point of burnout, and 6 years doing your PhD. When we first got together, you never called yourself doctor.
You're right. No, I
No.
didn't.
Tell me
No,
about that because that's really common
yeah,
that women don't. Where guys are like, "Yeah, fucking doctor."
yeah,
You didn't doctor, did you? And yet you had so much. You
yeah.
are a doctor. You have your doctorate.
I had bought into that. I had bought into that culture that said, we don't, we don't, we don't do that. Women don't do that. We don't do that. We just quietly go through the world and fix things and do things quietly
Mm.
underground. Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
did it feel to actually take that on and start calling yourself doctor?
It felt really awkward.
Yeah, this is real. And women, I know there's women listening to this who've got doctorates and don't, or it doesn't have to be a doctorate.
Yeah, any course sort of
Yeah,
qualification or
exactly. A qualification that they don't own, and yet they've worked so damn hard for it. How did you
yes.
work through that awkwardness?
Well, you gave me a hard time about it,
I
which
did.
was great. You pushed me and really
Oh,
made
gently with love.
with love in
But I
your
was so proud of you for the fact that I was surprised you weren't using it.
so you kind of held me accountable to it.
Okay.
And so awkwardly I started to use it.
Mm.
And I just step by step I own it now. I've owned it now for a couple of years. I don't even really think about it. I love it. And I mean I did a PhD because I wanted to get a place at the table of power and have my voice heard.
Hmm.
And for women, oftentimes the only way to get a place at the table of power is to have a very high level qualification.
Yep.
I also wanted to feed in my research into the environment movement as well. So it was of service to the environment movement, but I wanted a place at the table.
Mm.
And that's what a lot of those tables of power will be open to if a woman has a PhD or something like that.
Mm.
Um, but I find now I just use it. I use it all the time. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm proud. It was 6 years of my life with a young
With a
child.
child
Yeah, with a child who
and a single mum.
and a single mum. Hewan
Mm.
was aged between 2 and 8 when I did it. Yep. Um, it was a privilege to do it. It was incredible to spend 6 years of my life researching something I was passionate about and then going through the grist of writing it and making sense and standing on the shoulders of giants who had gone before me. And out of that and my own research, the aim of a PhD is to create original knowledge. What a privilege to be able to play in that field. I
Mm.
loved every second of it. Um, and interestingly enough, now I use it. Nobody ever gives me a hard time about using it. And I think people still respect it.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
old were you when you graduated, when you completed your PhD, when you walked across the stage in that incredibly
In that,
attractive hat?
in that funny hat and the dressing gown.
Yeah.
Dressing gown. 2005. What's that? 20 years ago, 60 to 42.
Nice.
50 years old.
So you're never too old to do a PhD. For those
Oh,
of you who are listening and thinking, oh, I've always thought, wow, I could do that.
no, no, no. It's, oof.
Mm. Do you think the wisdom of age helped you?
Um, Maybe I'd had a lot of lived experience. I was also going through a very, very difficult divorce at the time.
Mm.
So that lived experience did feed into it. It was about transformative learning, and that my work in the world, the way I live, it's still about that.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
about transformative learning in and from action. So I don't know. Actually, I didn't feel wise. I didn't feel wise at the time, and it was interesting in the process. It's a long process. After about the first year, you move from being a PhD candidate
Yeah.
to being a PhD student, and you have to do a presentation to all the bigwigs at that point, and
Right.
they then kind of mark you, and you either become a student or you have to go back and do more stuff. I remember being more terrified of that than I have been of anything in my life doing that presentation.
Yeah.
And I also remember, right at some point, maybe it was halfway, two-thirds of the way through doing my research, there was this threshold where I went, okay, it is time now to step up and own this.
Mm.
Stop pussyfooting around. Stop putting yourself down. Stop feeling tentative about everything and step up and own this fucking degree. Own your research. Speak your research. Speak your truth. Speak, just get out there and do it. And that was a really big moment for me. Your question just brought that back. And I will say, when I was doing my emotional freedom technique accreditation, which took a good year or more to do,
Yeah.
and I was early, just kind of 60-ish, same thing happened. I had all these doubts. I was thinking, I'm too old. Look at all these young people. Look at all these people. They're all psychologists and counselors and therapists, and I'm not one of them. And I had all this doubt,
Oh,
all this.
you're just a PhD.
It was it was an arduous course, and it was
Yeah.
really I was having to engage and crank my mind up and my critical thinking and it was so humbling. I was brought to my knees over and over and over again, excuse me. And then I remember there was this point with one of my mentors in a mentoring session, and she corrected me on something. And afterwards, I was like, if I got that wrong, then I've got all these other things wrong. And I went back to her and I said, are you sure? I actually questioned her about it. I said, are you sure? Because the manual says this. And she went and checked and she came back to me and went, oh my God, I got it wrong. I'm so sorry. And at that point, I went, I am not fucking around here anymore. I am just getting on with this thing because I can do this right. I do know what's going on. I'm getting it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Ah,
So much doubt before, around that threshold. It's like just before the water boils in a saucepan. It gets really messy.
really chaotic, right at that breakthrough
Chaotic.
point. Shoot.
Chaotic. And
Mm.
it's an awful place. It's really hard to sit in that place. And oftentimes we don't know that we're just on the cusp of breakthrough.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
But
And,
it's,
and the default is to regress back instead of stand and go through like you did.
yeah, yeah. It's a real crucible, those kind of moments.
Mm. Yeah. Life defining.
Life defining. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Time goes so fast. I'm curious, what is the most important thing we haven't talked about yet that we really should talk about here today?
I think it's ironic. It's ironic to say it in the middle of a conversation. For me, the power of silence. I think we live in such a loud, busy world, and it's crowded and it's noisy. And I sometimes think, human beings, why do we have to be so freaking noisy? We have lost in the Western world largely our capacity to hold silence. And when I went through the burnout late 40s from the environment movement work that I'd done, I was able to access a savings account that I had, and I was able to go work part-time for a little while. And I remember I just sat on the front steps of my home in the mountains with cups of tea in silence. I just sat in silence. And that after a little period of time, what happened was I could hear the wind speaking to me.
Mm.
And I could hear the soil moving and talking to me. And I started to write poetry. but I needed to sit in silence, and I needed to sit in spaciousness and not rush to do anything and just shut the fuck up. And I think that's something we don't acknowledge enough. It's just and Neruda, Pablo Neruda, has that incredible poem which I read to you once, Jen. We were standing on the lookout at Burleigh about silence. Shall I grab it?
Yeah, go for it.
So Pablo Neruda, the incredible poet from Latin America, he wrote a poem a long time ago called Keeping Quiet. And this is how it goes. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for a second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment, without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what this is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go.
Crazy, eh? The power of silence is everything.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a big one for me to learn and continue to learn. And it's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
You are welcome.
If you could go back to your 18-year-old self, and I could cry thinking about it, and share something, being the 62-year-old woman you are today, what would you tell her? What piece of wisdom would you give her as the auntie, the grandmother, that vibe, the wise woman?
Yeah. I would say to my 18-year-old self, who felt so self-conscious and so ugly and so lost, and I would say to her, your big feelings will prove to be your greatest asset. Just know that it's okay to have all of those big feelings and all of those yearnings, and they will become the foundation of a gorgeous, wonderful life. It might take time, but you will get there.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Alice MacKinnon. How
Thank
can people follow you? Listeners, wise other women out there are wanting to follow you. You know, you've got amazing books. Guys, go to her website and check them out. Your well-being on a budget is a must.
you, Jen.
Your
Being on a
the
budget,
notes, yeah,
becoming a stillness ninja.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
reflections on
love notes that come out every week in an
love
email.
notes. Yes,
Delicious. I love your love notes. Everyone's got to
to
check.
my website and subscribe to my love notes and
Yeah.
my news. Um, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram.
As Alice MacKinnon.
I'm on LinkedIn. And I just this week jumped into Substack, which is going to
Ah,
become a place for my writing.
awesome. Thank you for your time today. You are
Wow.
a most precious soul on this planet, and I really thank you.